In Egypt, there's this quiet, incredible revolution happening. And it's not in the streets, it's in the labs. Scientists are taking what most of us would call trash, things like leftover rice husks, and turning them into amazing, high-tech products that could literally reshape the country's future.
And really, this quote from Dr. Ghosal and Salib just says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just science for the sake of a new discovery, this is a mission. It's a deeply patriotic drive to have a real, tangible hand and a mark in Egypt's success.
So, what's driving all this incredible innovation? Well, it all starts with a huge challenge, a major economic headache: Egypt's reliance on really expensive foreign imports. The solution that's emerging? A new vision that directly connects the country's brightest scientific minds with the country's biggest needs.
Think about it. Every single year, millions are spent bringing in materials that, with just a bit of ingenuity, could be made right there at home. That constant economic pressure is the spark that's lighting a fire under local innovation. It's this powerful push for self-sufficiency, for building a stronger domestic industry from the ground up.
Okay, so let's get into the really cool stuff. Let's look at the innovations themselves. And this first set starts with something most people would just, throw away: everyday agricultural waste.
So meet nano-silica. As Dr. Mona El-Shimi explains, this is an incredibly advanced material they're pulling out of rice husks. Now, here's the magic. The crazy thing is its surface area. To put it in perspective, if you took just 1 gram of this powder and unfolded it, it could cover an entire football field. That massive surface is what makes it so reactive and so incredibly useful. And the process itself? It's just brilliantly simple. You start with these huge piles of worthless rice husk waste. Then, through some really clever chemical processing, you extract this super valuable, advanced material. It's the absolute best example of turning trash into treasure.
So what can you do with it? Well, the answer is a lot. Just look at this list. It can make rubber stronger, it improves paints, it's used as an anti-caking agent, which means it stops your food or medicine from clumping up. It can even help deliver drugs more effectively or give your clothes UV protection. It's like a homegrown, jack-of-all-trades super material. And it doesn't just stop at rice husks. Oh no, the very same team is now using fava bean husks to create something called microcrystalline cellulose. Now, if you've ever taken a vitamin pill or eaten a protein bar, odds are you've had this stuff. It's a super pure filler that's vital for pharmaceuticals and food, and now it's being made from local waste. You can see the pattern here, right? It's just brilliant. Okay, so next up, we're going to see how this research isn't just about creating value from waste. It's also about creating something else that's incredibly important: safety. We're talking about developing local alternatives to imported products that are not just expensive, but sometimes downright dangerous. And this right here, this is a perfect example of the real-world impact. Dr. Noha El-Khalawani has developed a totally safe yellow pigment, and about 70% of it comes from local materials. Why does this matter? Because it's designed to replace imported lead chromate, a toxic pigment that's restricted in many places because of its dangerous lead content. So this is a huge win for public health and for the local economy. All right, let's talk about ink. A lot of the liquid inks used in big printing presses release these toxic, volatile organic solvents. They're bad for the workers, they're bad for the environment, and Dr. El-Khalawani sought another perfect opportunity for a local and much safer solution. And the solution is a powder ink. And here's the number you need to remember: 90%. That's how much of this new, safer ink is made from materials sourced right there in Egypt. That just slashes the need for those expensive and harmful imports.
But, the big question is always, is it any good? Well, according to the innovator herself, it's not just a replacement, it's actually an upgrade. She said the tests showed the local powder ink had better stability and better color than the imported stuff it's meant to replace.
And then there's this. This is the real kicker, the part that gets everyone's attention: the cost. The locally made powder ink costs just a quarter of what the imported version does. So let's recap. It's better, it's safer, and it's dramatically cheaper. Wow! That is a powerful, powerful combination. So we've got all these amazing innovations, right? Developed in the lab, totally game-changing stuff. But, and this is the big but, how do you get them from the lab and into the factories? How do you make them part of the real world where they can actually make a difference? This is what people in the business call the valley of death of innovation. It's that huge gap between having a brilliant idea in a lab and getting a real commercial product onto a store shelf. And Egypt's research institutes are now laser-focused on building a bridge right across that valley. The whole strategy is a complete shift in mindset.
You know the old way of doing things? Do some research, write a paper, and then it just sits on a shelf collecting dust. Well, as Dr. Selib explains, that's over. The new focus is all about creating solutions that industries out there are actively looking for right now.
And here's a perfect example of how it works. The partnership with a company called Capici Paints. It is the definition of a win-win. Look, the research center gets to see its work tested in the real world, proving it works. And what does Capici get? They get access to cutting-edge R&D, they get training for their staff, and they get to develop new, better, and cheaper products. This is how you build that bridge between science and industry.
You see, what we're looking at here isn't just a few clever inventions. This is bigger. This is the blueprint for a whole new direction, a new vision for the entire country's economic and industrial future.
And what's really crucial to understand is that this work isn't happening in some isolated bubble. It lines up perfectly with a huge national strategy called Egypt's Vision 2030. That's the country's long-term plan for sustainable development, for building a knowledge-based economy, and for achieving greater economic independence.
And this final quote from Dr. Selib, man, it's such a powerful call to action. You can hear the passion. The scientists are saying, look, we've done our part. We've created the solutions. We're extending our hands. And now they're saying it's the right of the industrial sector to meet them halfway and grab this opportunity.
So this feels like a pivotal moment, doesn't it? From something as humble as a rice husk to revolutionary new inks, the potential is just undeniable. All the building blocks are there. The real question isn't about scientific ability anymore. It's about national will. Will this be the generation that transforms Egypt's economy from one that just consumes to one that creates?